Hi guys. So every data center has a system that they just don't know who's still connecting to it. So you're still running a server, you're probably offering services, but you don't know if it's being used or who's accessing it. And you want to start monitoring the network ports on there, network interfaces, and seeing who's connecting to it, who's connecting to what ports, and how much use it's getting. Or maybe it's being overutilized, or maybe you're worried it's a target for some kind of denial of service attack. But any of these scenarios, you're going to want to monitor the network traffic coming in and out of one of your Linux systems. So today I'm going to go over how to have a nice graphical user interface to set up to be able to monitor these incoming and outgoing traffic and then generate reports. And if you want, you could actually set up alarms. So I'm going to be setting up Nagios Network Analyzer, and it's such an easy product to set up. You can do it within a few minutes and start monitoring your Linux system, incoming and outgoing network traffic, and figuring out what's going on the system, either if it's subject to attack or it's just not being utilized at all. So just keep watching and I'll show you guys how easy it is to get started doing this within a few minutes. The first thing we're going to do is go ahead and go to the nagios.com website. It has all the main products on their main page, and one of them is the Nagios Network Analyzer. So it has three options that you can go ahead and download and run. If you don't want to install the source code, you could actually download a virtual machine here and run it on virtual PC or the VMware ESXi hypervisor. I'm going to go ahead and do a source installation or manual installation and download the actual source code. And then we can install it on a virtual machine or physical machine in your own environment. This is what I would recommend to do it this way. It's actually very easy installation. So this page here kind of goes over a little bit of the installation. It has a video specifically on the installation itself. I'm going to go over the installation right now so you can see how easy it is. So it just should take a few minutes. It downloads, very fast download. You can actually schedule a 1 hour free quick start demo with them as well. So if you're brand new to this and you need help setting this up, they actually have a free option here that you could work with one of their technicians to actually help it set it up in your environment. So once it's downloaded, I'm going to go ahead and check the download folder, and you don't want to open up a terminal. So we're going to work on this on the command line and just run a few simple commands to go ahead and get this installation started. As you can see here, here are the commands to just go ahead and extract the folder, and we're going to go into the Nagios folder that we extracted and run full install. There's actually a single command there as well that you can download a script and it does it completely for you. Either way is very simple. I'm just going to do the first method. We download and extracted the source manually. So let's go ahead and minimize your download window, right click on your desktop and open up a terminal window. So you're going to want to do this as the root administrator, so or have you do sudo as well, but whichever way you do it, you just need to have admin rights to actually install the product, so super user rights. So the first thing we're going to do is extract the content of our download. So we're going to do a GNU unzip on the file we downloaded, and then we're going to uncompress and then untar it with tar -xvf, and these will be in the notes as well. So once we have that, though, it has created a folder in that same directory called Nagios and A for Network Analyzer. So let's go ahead and change directory in there. And you'll see that the folder actually contains a number of executable files. The one we're looking for is called full install. So this is actually going to do the full installation for us. It's going to download any packages we need. It can compile any source code we need. And as long as you're running one of the recommended operating systems, Red Hat or CentOS, then this should work. Either Red Hat Enterprise Linux 6 or CentOS 6 or 7, or Red Hat Enterprise Linux 6 or 7 as well. So these are the recommended operating systems. I'm sure it'll work in the other Linux distributions as well, but these are just the ones that it's been recommended. So for sure, this script is going to work in that environment. I'm sure you're able to get it work in Ubuntu if that's what you're interested in as well. So we're going to go ahead and do a / and run our full install, and then you'll notice right away it's going to start downloading from the CentOS repository any packages we need. So this will take a few minutes. So this is where you can kind of step away and get a cup of coffee if you want and come back in a few minutes. So it's going to install a number of different packages, and then it's going to start compiling a number of different things. And once it's done, it's going to actually give you the information you need to continue. So the first thing it's going to show you is a website to go to. So if you have DNS, of course, you can put the host name here, the fully resolved, fully qualified domain name,
or you could go by the IP address depending on your environment. For my test environment, I'm just going to put in the IP address, and it'll let you know that it's been a successful install and the IP address you go, because this is actually does have a nice web interface so you can interact with. That makes using the product pretty simple. So we're going to go ahead and open up a browser and go to our IP address and make sure your firewall ports are open here. So you're going to have port 80 open to be able to access this website. There's another port that you need open as well. I'm doing this on the same local machine, so I haven't changed the firewall settings yet. But if you're trying to connect to this remotely, just be aware that your firewall should be open. So once you get to the web interface, for the first time you go to this site, it will ask you to finalize the installation. So you go ahead and use your 60-day free trial. This product's about a little over $900, so it's actually very reasonably priced. So if you're like a mid-size or small company, it's actually a great product to start out with to monitor your network traffic and start monitoring connections to your server. So let's go ahead, and if you don't have a key, go ahead and put 60-day free trial. The default username will always be Nagios admin. If you're familiar with Nagios Core, Nagios XI, there are other huge products, then you're familiar with that username. Go ahead and put in your password, and then you can type in your email address as well here, and then you can select your time zone. That's pretty much it. It's a very simple configuration. Once it's done, it's going to take you to your Nagios Network Analyzer login page, and we'll type in the username and password we just entered, and it'll take us to our interface. So once I have finished configuring it on the local machine, I'm going to go ahead and open up the firewall settings so I can continue my installation on another system, probably my desk workstation. So I'm going to go ahead and do a firewall -cmd, and if you're familiar with this, you're going to know what your zone is. If you're doing a fresh installation, then your zone will just be public. I'm going to say port 80, protocol TCP, and this is a permanent change I'm going to add. So I'm going to go ahead and enter, and once you do that, I'm going to reload the configuration. And as long as that says successful, now my port 80 is open, so I can go to a different machine and go ahead and go to my Nagios web interface. So I'm going to go ahead and go log in. I'm going to make sure it's working properly on my remote system and not just on the local machine. And if you notice here, there's a number of options this product has. It has a lot of features built in here for monitoring network traffic, either from a local host or a router. So we have different sources. You can group your sources, your network flow information sources together, and then you can do some reports and queries, but it also has alerts, which is actually a really powerful feature. And then you can monitor if there's any issues with the network traffic coming in, you can monitor that. So here we're going to define our source. So for the source, you just give it a name, IP address, or addresses. So you have multiple sources going into this one source, multiple source location. The listening port, so you define the port here, the type of flow, and I'll have a link here what flow types it's talking about. But it allows you to monitor like a Cisco router, Cisco switches, Cisco firewalls. So the first thing we do, even before we find the source, is actually set up our client. So now I'm not on my server anymore. I'm going to my client machine, and I'm going to go ahead and download a script from the Nagios website. So I changed directory into /temp. I'm going to use a wget command and download a script. So this will be in the notes below, so don't worry about just copying here. Just go down to the notes and copy and paste it from there. And it's a very similar script from the full install script, where it's going to go ahead and download from the CentOS repository all the packages it needs. It's going to be a relatively fast installation, so it shouldn't take too long to do this. But we want to make sure the script is executable before we go ahead and run the script. So we're going to do a change mod 755 to give it that execute bit on the script we just downloaded from the Nagios website. To successfully run the script, you're going to need to do this as root. So you're going to do a sudo and then / for the current working directory, and the script name that we downloaded, fprobe install.sh, is going to go out to the CentOS repositories and download the packages it needs to complete this installation. So it should take just a few minutes, so you can step away and get another cup of coffee and just come right back. And then once it's done, it's going to give you just a few further instructions on how to start up the daemon that's actually going to run on this machine, collecting the information and sending it to the Nagios Net Analyzer server. And then you can let you know how to configure the port. So again, this is where you have to open up the firewall on the server again to be able to collect this information from the client. So once it has successfully completed, you can get a little bit of instructions right here, how to start the daemon right away. So it starts monitoring information and sending it to your Nagios network analyzer server, and then how to make sure it starts on restall by adding it to one of our startup scripts, rc.local. So the first thing we need to actually know is start running it right away to make sure everything's working correctly without having to restart our system, of course. So we're going to do that first command, the fprobe-i for the interface, and then specify the Nagios network analyzer server and port. And again, you need to do this as root. So I just go ahead and switch user. So I do sudo switch user and dash. And you notice your prompt changes to the pound symbol, and that just means you're in as root, so your command line has root level access. So I'm going to go ahead and copy that command, fprobe-i. So you need to know your network interface. So I do an IP space A, so it gives you your IP addresses information, and if you notice that first field right there, ENP0S3 is actually in the network interface that I want to monitor the network traffic coming in and out of. So I'm going to go ahead and specify that network card as the interface to monitor my Nagios server and the port. So I'm selecting 9001. Be sure you select something over 1024. Now I'm going to go ahead and add that same command over to my rc.local script, which runs on restart. So when the machine first starts up, anything you have in that file will actually be ran with root level access and startup. So if you have any daemons or anything or any scripts you want to run on a machine startup, this is the file that you can easily modify very quickly and easily modify to be able to run that command. So I'm going to do that with the fprobe. The exact same command that I just started right away, I'm going to go ahead and add it there. And if you take a quick look at the file, you notice it's go ahead and add that bottom line there. You notice the two arrows to append, not to replace the file. Now we go back to our web interface for the server, and this is where we're going to add the source. So now we have a client sending information to our server. We want to make sure we define the source here so the server is ready to start collecting that network information. So I'm going to give the source name. I'm going to call it Linux server, the host IP address that the data is coming from, the port, so I defined it on the client side as 9001, income flow type, I select net flow, that's the default option. It's going to collect this information and keep it for a 24-hour period, and then it gives a path where the data is going to be stored. And if you're collecting large amounts of data, it might run out of disk space, so you might want to make sure you have enough disk space right there. But for a 24-hour period, it should be okay for most people. So once it's all correct, I click create source. And again, remember where we have to open up the firewall again to allow that network traffic information to be sent to the server. So we're going to go back and add, open up the port for 9001. So we're going to run our firewall -cmd command. We're going to specify zone public, and I'll put a note here on how to find out your zone, but the zone public is your default option if you haven't changed it. We're going to add port 9001, and this actually goes over UDP, so not TCP traffic, but UDP traffic. So you want to make sure you set the correct protocol right here and permanent. Once it's done, we're going to go ahead and reload the firewall configuration file so it takes effect right away. So firewall -cmd and -- reload. We could also take a look at the configuration file. So it's the IP table -save. And this will give us the information about the current IP table or firewall configuration. Then you notice your port right there, 9001. You want to make sure, right, UDP traffic, and it's open. From this point on, the network traffic information should be being collected by the server, so it should just take a little while for data to start appearing. So I would just wait like 30 minutes, an hour or so for data to start appearing on here, and it starts giving you a summary of what kind of traffic it's collecting. Again, you could add alerts here, so if you feel that traffic's coming in or you're being attacked, someone is trying to do a dynamic denial of service attack on your system, You create alerts here and then hook it into your Nagios core, Nagios XI server to send you alerts. So if you want to be paged, if you feel like the server is collecting too much traffic, that could be done from this product as well. So maybe I'll make a video later that kind of goes over how to connect the Nagios Network Analyzer to the Nagios XI to be able to monitor, and then you could have it alert you whenever there's any sort of issues. So after you wait a short period of time, you'll notice if you come back to the web interface, you start seeing some network information here about the server, the top few IP addresses and what ports it's sending data from, what kind of packets, and how much data is being sent. So you probably have a baseline of what your server traffic should be, so you kind of know what to expect. And then you could start writing alerts for anything that exceeds that kind of baseline. So it has a lot of nice reporting utilities in here that you can use as well. It gives you a small information diagram for your source. It gives you some nice part charts if you have to do any sort of reports for your manager as well.
Thanks for watching, guys. I hope this was helpful. It's so important to know what's going on in your network and just being aware and having reports that you can easily generate no matter what size, even for a small to mid-range company. It's always, always important to know what's going on in your network. So try a product like this out and you guys just have a better idea of how your environment is being used. Otherwise, I'll see you guys next time and subscribe to get updates. Bye, guys.